fights dating back to April of 05. He's been knocked out inside of 4 rounds, and he's fighting one of the greatest fighters in the history of boxing, in Marco Antonio Barrera, who, as you heard Alan Hopper say, wants to win a 4th division championship. He's a 5-time world champion, so this is a keep it busy for Barrera. For Sammy Ventura, opportunity of a lifetime to fight his hero from his country of Mexico. Let's see how he does. In the blue trunks to the right of your screen with the red shoes is Sammy Ventura. Marco Antonio Barrera can open up anytime he wants with this guy, and he knows it. He's got very heavy hands. A terrific fighter, and he's not going to fool around with Ventura for too long, I don't expect. Double, triple jab in the face of Ventura, just positioning himself right now. Hasn't thrown a right hand yet. Sammy's in and out. Of course, it would be of great pride for Sammy Ventura, who's from Cardenas, Mexico. They announced him from Mexico City, but he's actually from Cardenas. For him to go back home and say, hey, I went the distance with Marco Antonio Barrera. So that's what he's hoping to do, but it's not likely that will happen. Barrera really hasn't stepped it up yet. He's just sort of feeling this guy out here in round number 1. And he can turn it up anytime he wants. Coming off his loss to Manny Pacquiao in what was an absolute war. Prior to that, Juan Manuel Marquez for the WBC Super Featherweight title. That was a war. This guy has had all the tools. And again, because of the wars that he's been in, with the guys like Eric Morales and Tapia and Ayala and even Naseem Hamad and on you can go with him. Robbie Peden. You wonder, in spite of the fact he's only age 34, just how much longer he will fight and how much longer he wants to. In conversations with his people, he wants to get that 4th division title. So we'll see just how far he will go. But again, tonight is not a tune-up fight. It's just a stay busy fight for him. Recently signed with Don King, and Don wanted to bring him to Chengdu to show these people what a great world champion is. But he really hasn't opened up against Ventura. It's almost like a sparring session right now. Not throwing his right hand with any malice or forethought. Just testing Ventura. Ventura hasn't been able to do anything with him at all. Again, like a sparring session. Now he starts to tune him up to the body with the left hook, does Barrera. Barrera in the black trunks with his back to you. Now he touches him to the forehead. Tests him with a little uppercut where he turns that thumb out and comes up with the left hand. It looks to me like Barrera is just getting a workout out there to me tonight. And the crowd might begin to realize it, that this isn't much of a fight at this stage, because Marco Antonio Barrera is fighting like it's a sparring session. And the bell ends round number 1. I think the crowd would rather see him go ahead and open up, even if it is a second round knockout, and at least see the flashes of what a great, great fighter can be like. Sammy Ventura. Last fight out, he gets stopped in the second round by Wes Ferguson. Prior to that, it was Anthony Salido that stopped him in July of 07 in California. Prior to that, it was Jason Litzau who stopped him in Chicago in October of 06. He usually gets stopped inside of 4 rounds, so maybe Barrera will carry him for another round. But as I said, if you want to see a knockout, don't go too far, because if Barrera thinks the crowd is onto the fact that this is a sparring session at this point, he'll open it up and finish this guy off anytime he wants. For Ventura, he's giving it all he has against a guy who's a hero in his home country, but he's just not in the league with Marco Antonio Barrera. Considers it a great opportunity to come here to China to fight Marco Antonio. Barrera is just kind of like working out with him right now. Digging body shots behind the elbows. That's Julio Cesar Chavez tailor-made punches, I should say. Looks like he's almost pulling punches. He's not really letting his punches fly. He's not throwing his punches hard at all. Barrera, to me, is just going through the motions. Anytime he wants, he can turn it up and take this guy out. But he's just toying with him right now. Kenny Bayless, the third man in the ring. No clinches. Nobody even hurt. Nobody's shaken. And Barrera continues to toy with this guy. Shots downstairs. So the crowd begin to realize that Barrera is playing with them, I think. Because they're not too pleased with what they're seeing. Ventura landing absolutely nothing. Barrera doing what he wants. Trouble is, when you got a guy that's throwing punches at you, you can get cut. A lot of things can happen. A headbutt. And Barrera doesn't need any of that. He doesn't need to mess around with this guy. What he needs to do is stop him and end the fight. He doesn't need rounds. He's got tons of rounds in his career. In fact, at this stage in his career, he needs less rounds. So if he can take him out, and those punches are a little bit heavier there now. Barrera in the black trunks with the white trim, and in the blue trunks is Sammy Ventura. Sammy reaching has absolutely no power. Very tough kid. He does have 29 wins against 19 losses, and he does have 20 knockouts. But not against this type of opponent. He's never been in with anyone like this. There's the first hard punch of the fight, and it crushes to the lower rib cage and liver of Ventura. That one hurt him. 21 seconds, 20 seconds, 19 seconds to go in the second round. Another shot like that on top of the liver, and that'll be all she wrote for Sammy Ventura. Apparently he's going to carry him for another round, or at least into the next round. Here comes the bell to end round number 2 of this fight in a Barrera sparring match in Mexico. And the crowd in China a bit impatient because they want to see some flashes of greatness from Marco Antonio Barrera. So will it be the third round, or will he carry him through the third round and finish him off in the fourth round? Anytime he wants, he can finish